Hi guys, welcome to my review about Eyes Wide Shut. If you haven't really gotten into this movie, I do recommend you see it before watching my video and then just kind of let your mind explore what it means and let your mind question what's going on. If you have seen it, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of the non-obvious. So let's start with a couple of the facts first. With Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, Stanley Kubrick actually really likes making movies with hidden themes. That is a fact. And if you look at this movie, this really delves into stuff like deals with the devil, MK Ultra, mind control, monarch programming, and basically Illuminati and kind of oligarchy elitist culture. So if you look at this picture here, it's actually kind of representing Jacob's Ladder. If you look closely at the four people sitting at the bottom, they are surrounded by Jacob's Ladder by Illuminati lighting. Here's Nicole Kidman. If you didn't realize this, she's actually being, in my humble opinion, mind controlled by the Illuminati. That's why she's surrounded by Illuminati lighting there and kind of cryptic double pentagrams with the sun god in the middle of it. Here is Sandor Sabost, which is basically considered the leader of the Illuminati. If you can see, he's surrounded with a decorative Illuminati lighting around his image. If you know that Sandor in the movie is his name, also if you realize that Anton Sandor LaVey in the 60s was the name of the head of the Satanic Church. So this movie, even though fantastic with a lot of hidden sub themes and hidden meanings, hidden themes, it's really hard for me to talk about because I'm just not comfortable. I'm comfortable watching the movie. It's a work of art, but as far as talking about this stuff or seeming like I'm propagating any of this stuff, I am definitely not. You can just see by the lighting in these rooms, all these hidden meanings around it. It's an emotional journey from the viewpoint of Tom Cruise. He starts out extremely arrogant. Basically his wife is at this party, but he still has two women draped around him, very confident about his situation. And if you know what this movie's about, then there's actually two parties that'll happen, this one and in the second one. And it's kind of like it's a journey of him trying to interpret what's going on with his family. If you want to know what's really going on with his family, then my take on it is that the elitist oligarchy or the Illuminati are actually mind controlling him. I'm sorry, not him, his wife and his daughter. And he is completely unaware of it. So he's the one that goes on the journey. But you're going to see a lot of, confusion on her face because she's being brainwashed and mind controlled. This is a scene where he rents a tuxedo to go to the second party and catches the costume shop owner's daughter with two Japanese men. As you can see, the daughter there has this blank stare on her face. And I haven't heard other people talk about it, but I'm sure they have because this movie is going to be dissected top to bottom. There's actually thousands of cryptic things going on this, and I will try to decrypt and decode in a more expanded version of this. But basically, she's being MK Ultra mind controlled and brainwashed, so she is immune to all of this. This is how he finds out about the second party because of Nick Nightingale, who was working at the Sonata Cafe. This is them building the downtown sets. If you don't know, Stanley Kubrick is a native New Yorker. If you look at the kind of like French kind of Renaissance furniture he always uses in his movies, it's absolutely beautiful to look at. And if I did mention earlier, the MK Ultra mind control and monarch programming is being kind of poisoned into Tom Cruise's family. There's a representative from the elitist oligarchy kind of putting fear into Tom Cruise, letting him know that he's being watched to try to stop him before anything happens. I don't know how far I can get into this. I mean, I have just started to delve into this movie, but if you dig deep into this movie, there are actually just so much going on, but it really is about kind of like these perverted elitist sex, groups that it's really just hinting, who is it? Is it kind of Hollywood elites, or is it, politicians? Is it like Swiss bankers? What's going on? If you look at this scene, it's actually the daughter walking away with two of the people that were at the party. If you look at the party at the beginning, both those guys walk past once each, and they're sitting at the table once each. But they actually do it like in one frame where you can see her hand reaching out. It's an amazing scene. It just shows that basically when the threat was earlier mentioned in the movie about if you don't stop pursuing to find out what we're about, then you will suffer the most dire consequences. So basically I didn't show scenes from the second party, but when he did reach the second party, they reached into his cloak and found the tag with his name on, and they actually could, they want to identify who's at that party as quick as possible, so they identified him, and they actually knew that they were already MK Ultra mind controlling the daughter and the wife. If you see right there the babysitter, the little doll next to her, that doll, it's kind of creepy. That doll actually looks exactly like the babysitter. Also, if you look at that, if you look at her, at the daughter right there, she actually is wearing butterfly wings, like a monarch butterfly, which is kind of a visual metaphor or representation of monarch programming. So to me, the main point of this movie is kind of exposing the elitist oligarchy and hinting towards the Hollywood elitists, the corruption. It's basically just exposing this very high elitist oligarchy, and it has different sub-themes. But as far as kind of a topical, superficial theme, it explores the hypocrisy of men and women and jealousy in their relationships, and kind of the role in their relationships. If you look at Nicole Kidman at the very beginning, the very first line is, "Hey, where's my wallet?" And she goes, "Oh, it's right next to you, on the end table next to your bed," which also has kind of a second meaning of, the fact that he is paying for the relationship. And it's just a tacit knowledge or an unspoken agreement between couples that he takes care of everything financially. In the movie, of course, this has been discussed many times. His name is Dr. Bill, Dr. Bill, Dollar Bill. Very obvious. And her name is Alice. So from Alice in Wonderland, kind of going down the rabbit hole. So we are going down the rabbit hole together right now. And it explores the theme of her spinning out of control into this kind of brainwashing MK Ultra monarch programming world. So she doesn't know what's going on because she's being programmed. The daughter's being programmed, and as I already said, the daughter's actually taken away by the elitists in the toy store at the end without them knowing, because after they take her hand, it immediately goes into this deep conversation with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, and it's just it's not clearly shown, but it's just it's a freeze frame type of thing, and it goes into this hypocrisy of Tom Cruise actually being arrogant and using his power and money to acquire attractive wife, everything he wants in life. But then when he finds out that his wife also has desires for other men, he goes into this guilt complex of, oh, I was just at this party looking for women, but then my wife wants other men. So he's crying in confusion out of being envious, guilty, jealous, upset at himself. It's this juxtaposition of his guilt versus his jealousy, and it really goes into those themes very deeply. Also, at Stanley Kubrick is a genius. He's not flawless, but he does do a lot of research into what he's going to build, so these characters are well thought out. I really enjoyed this movie. Do I think its pacing is a little bit slow? I do, but I know that Stanley Kubrick, he actually really wants things to be visceral, and what I mean by visceral is the slower he goes, the more you're drawn into it. It forces you to listen, and it forces you to think of what's said. It's something that he wants you to have to watch this movie again and again, and he forces you to it's basically, this movie's like a fine wine. He knows how to create a movie that's going to age well. So this movie didn't sell well at all in the beginning, but now over time, there's the mask, and I haven't delved into it enough to know how that mask got there, but I do believe that either she was put to sleep and she was at the party herself and they brought her and back, or it's just they took the mask from him and placed it next to her as a subtle threat towards their family to get him to stop checking into what's going on at this party. As you can see, he went back to Ziegler's house to find out what's going on. Ziegler encouraged him more not to look into it, and eventually those two guys show up at the toy store, as you can see right here, from the party. And then, they take the daughter's hand and take her away. I really like to dig deep into these movies, and believe me, I encourage you to dig deep also.